Welcome to Catalytic Leadership, the podcast designed to help leaders intentionally grow and thrive. Here is your host, author, and leadership and executive coach, Dr. William Attaway.
Hey, it's William, and welcome to today's episode of the Catalytic Leadership Podcast. Each week, we tackle a topic related to the field of leadership. My goal is to ensure that you have actionable steps you can take from each episode to grow in your own leadership. Growth doesn't just happen. My goal is to help you become intentional about it. Each week, we spotlight leaders from a variety of fields, organizations, and locations. And my goal is for you to see that leaders can be catalytic no matter where they are or what they lead. I draw inspiration from the stories and journeys of these leaders, and I hear from many of you that you do too. Let's jump into today's interview. It is a real honor today to have Travis Blackburn on the show. Travis is a mindset, training, and nutrition coach who was addicted to hard drugs and alcohol starting when he was 12 years old. He suffered from severe anxiety and depression throughout his teenage years. Everything changed when he discovered that he was meant for greater things. And he left his fraternity in college to get sober and start a new life. Only 6 months after getting sober and leaving that old lifestyle, he started his own copywriting agency, which he scaled to netting roughly $7,000 a month in income. He lost nearly 30 pounds of fat and built a massive amount of muscle with a six-pack to top it off. He eliminated self-doubt, depression, and anxiety, and he wakes up every morning 7 days a week, no kidding, at 3:30 a.m. to go to the gym, and he never misses a day. His primary focus now is his online mindset training and nutrition program, where he instills the discipline that he's learned into other people. Travis, I'm so excited about this conversation. Thank you for being on the show.
Me too, man. Appreciate it.
I would love for you to share some of your story with our listeners, particularly around your journey and your development as a new and emerging leader. How did you get started?
Well, it all started when I was 12 years old, like you said. I mean, I had the vices and I got into the drugs and alcohol at a very young age. And that just carried on for years and years and years, you know?
Yeah.
You know, most people start the drugs and alcohol maybe in college, and then that carries on all throughout their 20s. Mine started really, really early. And by the time I got to college, I was over it. You know, you can only take the hangovers and weekends that are just so bad for so long, you know? And in my first semester, it was just more drinking. And it got to the point where it was one night, it was the homecoming game. I went to Oklahoma State. And it was the homecoming game against Texas, and we had like a huge party, biggest game of the year. And I ended up getting way too drunk, and I messed up with the girl that I had a little relationship with. It wasn't like official or anything, but you know, it's a good thing that I had going on, and it meant a lot to me at the time, and it got totally wrecked. And that was just like the final blow. I was like, I can't be doing this drinking anymore. It's not bringing anything to me in my life that's worth anything positive. So at this moment moving forward, I'm done. And that's when I made that switch just flipped in my head. And it was difficult. You know, it was really, really hard because I was living in this fraternity house of 100 plus kids who all drank, and that was their number one priority. And all of a sudden I was going to be this black sheep that just didn't do it, you know? How are they going to judge me? How was I going to feel, you know? Like I don't have any other friends. I don't know anyone else. I'm from California. I don't know anyone else here in Oklahoma. So I had to really just make that decision, and I was the only one that didn't go to parties for that last 2 months I was in that frat. I was waking up at 3:30 still while everyone would have like meetings in the frat. I would be going to bed early. I would skip all the meetings. I would buy canned chicken from Walmart. I would cook rice in the bathroom. I would stir up egg whites in the microwave.
Wow.
I was like, when I tell you, man, I was in so much pain, like so much. And I figured out that training and nutrition was a tool that I could use to solve that. And I would go at I wasn't able to get a dorm and I wasn't able to move out of the frat house at the time. So I was going to do anything that I could. And we couldn't use the kitchen either. It was a $500 fine to use the kitchen.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I had to just work with what I had. I had to just go to the Walmart, get the canned chicken, get the rice, get the egg whites in the microwave. I realized that these were the tools that I needed to feel better again. This is what worked. This is what solved me from the pain of addiction. And I was going to do anything that it took to be able to use those tools. Essentially, that's what it was. And I healed myself using training, nutrition, and having a mentor to guide me along the way, mindset wise. And from there on out, I've realized that, it's my purpose in life to find everyone who's in that same state of addiction, that same state of feeling like they're calling to be more, but they're not living up to it. Like I want to show you that you can get out of that through the right mindset, through the right training, and through the right nutrition.
I love that. I cannot imagine what kind of effect that drugs and alcohol has on somebody as young as 12 and 13 years old.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I didn't know any other type of fun, as a good kid, when you think you're 12, like when you try to think back at 12 years old, you might think, oh yeah, that's when I was playing with Pokemon cards. That's when I was driving around riding my bike around on the street. And no, like my only fun was like associated with like smoking some weed, finding the next drink, stealing the next bottle. Like if it was going to like an amusement park for the day, me and my friends would immediately think about, all right, how are we getting weed in? How are we gonna smoke? Like instead of going to prom, like we would skip and just like go drink 40s behind the alley. Like that was another thing about dropping the addiction, is because that was all I knew. Like my entire life was surrounded around drinking. So it was like, in my head, I had to think like, okay, well, I know I can't continue doing this, but it's going to be pretty hard because this is my entire life. This is where I know fun exists. I don't know fun outside of drinking. How am I going to find an external source of fun? But I want everyone to know out there that you really, really can. You just have to remove that negative vice, drinking, and replace it with a positive habit, such as mindset not mindset, just training and nutrition, because that instills the mindset.
Yeah, and that's really been a key in your success, right? I mean, the gym, your nutrition, like that's been what you didn't just say, I'm going to stop this. You said, no, I'm going to stop and replace it with this.
Yeah. No, it's what healed me. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do any of the things that I've done right now without dropping it and replacing it with the training and nutrition. I mean, it saved my absolute life. I mean,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And then you started your agency. You started copywriting. What brought you into copywriting?
So once I dropped the alcohol and all the drugs and everything, and I got into shape, I really just focused on myself for about 3 months. Just like me and Travis. Like I'm going to school too, so I'll obviously do my schoolwork, but I just need to focus on myself. And I did, and then I got to the point where I'm like, all right, well, like I'm not like completely healed. I don't think anyone's ever 100% healed, but everyone's always got something.
Sure.
And but I got to a point where I was definitely feeling better about myself, and I'm like, okay, it's time to start making some money. Like, first we get the mind right, then first we get the body right, then we get the mind right. Now we got to get our pockets right. So, essentially, I was just looking at different ways to make money online. I came across a program that had a bundle of different other courses that I could take in, like drop shipping, stocks, crypto, and I tried all those things, and I'm very glad that they didn't work out, because I really don't think they're organic or wholesome business models. I mean, number one, drop shipping, getting a random product from China, selling it as your own brand, it's not very ethical to me. And then in crypto and stocks, like who cares? I'm very happy I was able to find copywriting within that course that I bought, because that's like a very useful business skill. I mean, like, businesses have been using copywriting since the beginning of time, and they're always going to need it. So I was taught through that course. I learned about human persuasion, just every step that it really takes to like outreach to find a client. And basically intelligently and like strategically, I chose my niche to be the online coaches, like the online life coaches industry, who worked around mindset and nutrition and healing others of the same pain that I was able to be healed from.
Nice.
So basically, I just I found these coaches online, and we set up newsletters. So twice a week for like $1,500 retainers. Basically, you just find multiple of those, and then you just scale it from there. And like basically, it was just so my writing was so powerful because I had just gone through this traumatic event, and I was able to just project all of my feelings onto it. And people say like, oh, but what about AI? Like AI hasn't gone through like addiction that I did. Like it's just not going to be able to write the way that I can.
Yeah.
And that's why copywriters like they'll stay in business if they put emotion and the ethos behind their stuff. But yeah, like just in the very beginning with the one client, I mean, I made up to like 5K just in the first couple months. Just last month, I did 7K. That was my best month. But within that, the first, second, or third month, I only had one client, and that's all I was focusing on. I was just doing like strategic things. Like I came up with an idea for a free fitness challenge, and that's where we gave everyone who opted into the free challenge like a free set of workouts, free food list, weekly Zoom calls, daily emails, daily quotes, daily motivation. And I came up with all this stuff, ended up converting over 50 people to her like $300 plus program, depending on what they chose to do. And within 20 days of that challenge, I made $3,500.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it was awesome. And I was having so much fun too, because it was something I love to do. Like I love to write already. And then it was all around mindset training, nutrition. We had a Facebook page set up too for it was a mom who was selling fitness programs to other moms. So we had a Facebook page set up for the moms who opted into the challenge.
Yeah.
And it was a place for them to ask questions, support each other, and just motivate everyone along the way. And it was so cool. Like just to see and scroll through, like there were 700 people that opted into that Facebook group, and like, maybe half of them were active. So 500 people were just like saying like, wow, this is the best that I felt in years. I haven't like dropped down to this weight in forever. Like Claude, I just wanted to say thank you. Claude's the coach that I work with. And it just kind of hit me. I'm like, wow, like I brought this entire thing into fruition. Like this idea like sparked in my brain, and I was able to influence this many people. And I thought it was amazing. And it was like a really cool feeling that I got from it. I even got my mom to opt into the challenge. And
nice.
Yeah, and she just from the challenge alone, in those 20 days, she lost 7 pounds, and then she ended up converting to the coach's actual program. And
that's awesome.
Now she's lost 30 pounds since then in March.
Wow.
So it's like it's just such a positive thing, getting your mind and body, and it gets your soul right. And I'm just really grateful that I'm able to like find that purpose at 18 years old, because I mean, a lot of people never do. So
yeah. Absolutely. And you're spot on. The mindset, this is where it starts. I mean, you used to be plagued with self-doubt, right? This was part of your life, like every single day. What changed? Like, how did this new confidence really come to be in your mindset?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was probably like the least self-confident like person like you'd ever meet. I mean, you might not like be able to like read it or see it off me. You might be able to read it off me depending on like how emotionally intelligent you are, but I was extremely not confident with myself at all.
Yeah.
I would walk around campus. I remember like my senior year in high school, and even beginning of college, I would walk around school. Like I would like be thinking about like the way that I walked, and like if other people were like judging me on that, like in my head, I'm like, all right, left foot here, right foot there. I was thinking that deep. Like I was in a speech and debate class in my senior year of high school as well. And there were even like little freshmen in there who were doing better than I was. I would like hop on, like my voice would be cracking. I would be like, just peeing down my leg trying to give it a speech. And like, I mean, that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to tell people is like, I was the worst with my confidence. I was the least confident person out there.
Yeah.
But now I've gotten to a point now where I'm I'm not going to say I'm the most confident, because I mean, there's some more confident people out there, but I'm confident enough now to where I can just like accept myself. I can just like walk around and be Travis. And I wasn't able to do that before. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that I wouldn't have got it if I didn't change my body and have someone proud to look in the mirror. Because when you go through training and nutrition, number one, the nutrition is the dieting aspect. So you're learning discipline from restraining yourself from all these foods that you've been having for years and years and years on end. And when you're able to complete a really hard program where you give up those foods, I mean, you're able to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, and then on top of that, to go along with the increased mindset that you get from the discipline, you see abs and you're like, who else has abs like that? Like, no one else has abs. I just got those abs. I worked for those abs. Those are my abs.
Yeah.
And that in itself, I mean, that just instills confidence in you. You know that you did something hard, and you're reminded by it by looking at what you see in the mirror.
So your habits yielded results. The consistency yielded momentum. And that momentum then creates in your mindset an understanding, well, if that happened then, it could happen again.
Yeah.
And it can happen going forward. And it builds confidence in you because of what you're seeing. I love that. And I think that's true no matter where you're leading, what field you're in, what your niche is. I think entrepreneurs so often struggle with self-doubt because they hear that internal voice telling them, can you really do this? Are you really the guy? Like, you're not going to be like so-and-so. You're not going to be like them. They are successful. You're never going to hit that. And one of the things that I challenge leaders to do is to make sure you capture your wins, like every week in a wins journal, right? It's easy to figure out what's going wrong. Everybody can do that.
Yeah.
What's going right? Write down your wins. And then over time, you're building a knowledge base that you can then pull back from when you start to have those doubts and say, I can't do it. Wait a minute. Go to the wins journal. What does the data say? Data point. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's a win. That's okay. So I will. And it gives you confidence moving forward. And that's what I'm hearing from you. Like you had these wins around nutrition. You had these wins around your health. And this began to have an effect on your mindset. And this gives you confidence. Then you're building on those results into the confidence that you need for today and for tomorrow.
Yeah, it's momentum. It's that snowball effect.
Yep. I love that, man. There's a lot of people listening, and I imagine there's more than a few who, like you did, suffer from addiction, who struggle with, am I really living out my purpose in life? Is this really all there is? Like, what would you say to somebody like that who's listening?
I mean, if you have to question it, then there's obviously something that's off, right?
Yeah.
I mean, are you okay with living a normal existence? Are you okay with wouldn't you rather go to the pool and be able to take your shirt off and like just look good in front of everyone else? Like, doesn't that just sound better? To me, it did. And I wasn't cool with where I was at. And I wanted, and it's not even, I try to like get people in with like you're going to look great for this summer. You're going to get jacked. But no, it's the mindset. Like, no one understands the mindset that you get from training and nutrition. That's all it is.
Yes.
If I could sell it like that, I would, but it's impossible to really. I mean, I'm not the best at explaining things in the best detail, but I mean, people got to experience it for themselves. That's where you truly understand how important and significant the mindset really is. But yeah, but I mean, if you look at yourself in the mirror and you see a problem and you're being told that, then that's a message from above. I mean, you just have to listen to that message.
Yeah, that's a good word, man. As you're moving forward, as you're looking ahead, like what is the one thing you want most in the days, the weeks, the years to come?
So I didn't actually come to this realization until literally last night. I kind of had a really big realization. Wow. I mean, I was I haven't cried in probably maybe a year. I literally spent the last 5 minutes last night. I mean, showered over me. Like, I had never really been hit this hard. And it was from me coming to the realization that I was getting transactional with like every single sale and like every single thing that I was doing. Like the reason why I chose this business before was because I felt so much pain in that frat house and a want to be more and do more and just literally just to feel.
Yeah.
And I was able to figure out a solution to that. And I was able to heal that. And once I was able to do that, I just wanted to do it to other people. Like that, I didn't think there was anything else for me in life. This is such a common thing, addiction, being addicted to drugs and alcohol. Everyone goes through this. It kills people. Some people overdose on it. They never get it. This is a huge problem. And I just figured out the solution to it. I have to tell people about that. I have to give them the same feeling that I'm feeling because it's only going to make me feel even better too.
Right.
So once I determined that that's what I wanted to do in life, I chose this route in business, and I've been very transactional, just trying to make the sale. You know, I would like go to the gym to film videos and do my content, and I'd be like, oh, I gotta do this again. You know, I gotta set up my camera angle here. I gotta figure out the lighting here. It'd be like me going back home after the gym, be like, oh, I gotta film another video on motivation. Like, oh, I have to do my cold outreaches and message people. Like, I don't want to do that. It's like, Travis, like, think about why you started this, bro. Like, you want to help people. You want to give them that same solution that you needed when you were in that dark time in that frat house. Like,
that's right.
The numbers that I see pop up on a screen on my phone, like, it's not even like my program, just a few $100 for it to just go up a couple numbers on like a few ticks. Like, really? You think that's going to give you the happiness that you're looking for? Like, no, dude. No. You know what it's like to feel better from getting better from addiction. And you've even helped a few people in your personal life do it too. So, but it's already, you know what it already feels like to help someone. Imagine that if you could do that at a large scale, hundreds and hundreds of people. Like, that's what's really going to give you that fulfillment that you're looking at. And and people don't really understand it. I was actually just listening to Andy Frisella. I don't know if you listen to him at all. He has a great podcast, Real AF. You should definitely check it out.
Yeah.
But Andy was talking about how when people fixate on the outcome, like making a certain quota or whatever, you know, along the way, like if you just were to focus on like helping people at a larger scale instead of like an outcome like that, like then the success naturally comes rather than just looking at the success. And just focus on helping people. It's really what it comes down to.
Absolutely. Jeff Henderson writes about this too in his book, and Know What You're For. And he talks about the difference between what you want from someone and what you want for them.
Yeah.
And when you focus on what you want from them, the sale, the transaction, you know, when you focus on that, that's a whole different ballgame rather than when you're thinking about what do I want for them? You want for people to experience the freedom that you've experienced. You want for people to experience this new mindset like you've experienced. You want them to experience that. You want that for them.
That's major. Yeah, that's a great point. 100% what I'm trying to say. So I guess to your original question, like, what do I want to do? Like, I just want to do that. Like, I just want to like film my life. I want to like film me going to Miami. I want to film me like being able to stay disciplined and sober for just decades on end, like the experience that it's going to bring me, the fortune it's going to bring me, the gratitude it's going to bring me. I just want to show how awesome this life is and just get as many people on the train as I can. The goal is just to feel happy. And like, that really comes from making other people feel happy.
So if you got that, if 3 years from now, you're there, you're helping people in that way, what's different for you? What's different for that Travis 3 years from now?
I guess it's the scale that he's doing it at, you know? I think in a way everyone wants to feel validated, you know? You gotta feel validated with yourself, but everyone wants to be loved and feel validated by others. So I think that the Travis in 3 years, if he's able to see the impact that he's done on so many other people, like he would just, you know, feel validated by them too. You know, he's already feeling validated by himself in a way, not 100%, but just to like see the effect that I can make on hundreds and hundreds of other people, I feel like that would just really hype me up that much more.
That's awesome. All right. So let me ask you this. What's stopping you? What's in the way?
Right now, I mean, like I said, just like this past like realization that I had last night, um, I've just been way too transactional and salesy recently.
Yeah.
So I guess what it really comes down to is me putting my ego to the side. Like,
Mm.
because social media, a lot of people don't understand. You got to be like authentic in this business, like very, very authentic. Like you got to be able to like get on camera and like say the stuff that you don't want to say.
All right.
Like my mentor Wes Watson, he always tells us that like the thing that you're really scared of putting out there and saying,
Yeah.
like that's what's going to take you to the next level.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what I've been learning today. I mean, I shared it in my story on Instagram at Travis with 2 S's Blackburn.
Mm.
I pretty much just explained that whole story about feeling transactional and salesy. And I'm like, listen, you guys, like, I mean, that really wasn't me.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like I had to meet this quota to be able to be successful in Miami. I wanted to keep up this like reputation of the kid who can like go out and drive Lamborghinis, go out to nice dinners. Like I felt like I needed to keep up with that. And I was just like losing myself along the way. There's no way I'm not going to make a mistake or two along the way. I'm going to like do my best. And I guess from here on out, it's just the only thing that's stopping me is just not living in complete alignment with who I know I'm supposed to be and letting my ego hold me back, really.
You know, you're new in the leadership journey. You know, you're 18 years old and you have already hit goals that so many people still have in front of them. They haven't gotten there yet. And some of them are 2 and 3 times your age. Is there a book that you have read or a podcast that you would recommend that has been a part of your journey so far that you would say, hey, if you're listening, you want to learn, this is something that's really impacted me so far?
Well, I would say my mentor, and his name is Wes Watson. I mean, he's just like, he saved me pretty much. I mean, through his YouTube videos, he pretty much saved me. He went to prison for 10 years and it was off like a weed or drug bust or whatever. And like he got out and he went sober while he was in prison. And he was actually the person who was like getting the other prisoners sober and like, cause you know, drugs still run through prison. And he was able to like get those people like sober in prison. And he was able, I think it was like his last 5 years of his term, like he was able to just like completely dial in. Like, I mean, he had like a shoe term too. So he was like locked in a cell by himself for like a year straight. Wow. And I mean, that's just crazy. And he was able to just like work out, hit burpees every single day. I mean, like he wouldn't eat the brownies or like the desserts they would give him for dinner. Like he would trade that for like protein or something. I mean, he was just a very disciplined person. And he got out and he was just running laps on everyone else because he had that discipline that he learned in prison. Yeah. And he learned so much about himself through the isolation and through like withstanding the drugs and alcohol for so long that his message was able to just come off like so much more profound than any other person out there in the self-development industry. And his way of doing this, like the inspiration, I think a lot of people can get hit in a different way. Some people don't resonate it with it as much as I would. But he's one of those guys that are just like gnarly. I mean, like he goes in like calling you out. I mean, I won't like cuss too much on your show, but like if you are considering checking him out, like get prepared for that. Like he will call you out, and that's the thing. Like he talks about that. He thinks that like in order to inspire change in others, like I mean, you can't just be compassionate the entire time. You need compression too. Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of leaders need to do too. I mean. If you're running a business, I mean, you can't just like, oh, you know, that's okay. Like you tried your best. Like you're going to have to show some compression too.
Absolutely.
And it's going to have to be, I like honestly can't give you a solid answer on the balance between the two. I think it all kind of depends on like on the situation, but I do know for sure that it can't be 100% of both.
Well, it's fluid and it needs to be fluid. It can't just be 50-50, right? Sometimes you need more of one, sometimes you need more of another. So it's got to be a fluid balance. But you're exactly right. Both are required, both are necessary. And the minute you try to say it's 100% one or the other, well, you're done. That's good. So as we tie a bow on this today, Travis, I'm curious if people were to walk away from this episode with one thing, one insight, what would you want that to be?
It would really just to be in congruence with your conscience, like be in alignment with what you're being told to do. I mean, Wes talks about this a lot. Like Wes says that that your conscience is the authentic voice of God, and that quote really, really resonated with me and really pushed me forward. I mean, it's little quotes that he spits out that like just carries me on throughout the day. But anyway, I mean, just filming my content and going throughout my day yesterday, getting on camera and saying, oh, I just made another $7,000 last month in copywriting, and knowing it like deep down in my soul, I'm like, dude, you don't want to say that. Like, yeah, you did it, but like, that's not really the type of video that you want to make. Why are you still doing it? And then me just ignoring that voice and still going through with it. You can compare it to the drinking and drugs. Like,
yeah,
another Friday night and your friends text you to go to the bars, and you remember from last weekend, you and your girl broke up, and you don't want to go through that same pain again, but your boys are hitting you up, and then you're faced with the decision again, whether or not to go out to the bars or to stay home. And when you make that decision to go out and you just ignore that authentic voice from above, don't just think that you're going to get away with it. And the moment that you realize that, the moment it starts giving to you, if you start living in congruence with what it's telling you not to do, dropping the food. I mean, if you see yourself in the mirror and you're overweight and you're like, and you have that voice in your head, I should really lose that weight. Listen to it and see what happens. See how much better your life gets.
Yeah.
Because the moment you start doing that in all areas is the moment you really start to level up.
Travis, I know folks listening are going to want to stay connected with you and continue learning from you. What is the best way for them to do that?
Just to shoot me a DM on Instagram. It's at Travis with 2 S's, Blackburn.
I'm confident people are going to want to continue to learn from you. And I look forward to continuing to learn and watch what happens in the days and weeks and years ahead as you continue down the path that you're on. Thanks for joining me for this episode today. As we wrap up, I'd love for you to do 2 things. First, subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you find value here, I'd love it if you would rate it and review it. That really does make a difference in helping other people to discover this podcast. Second, if you don't have a copy of my newest book, Catalytic Leadership, I'd love to put a copy in your hands. If you go to catalyticleadershipbook.com, you can get a copy for free. Just pay the shipping so I can get it to you, and we'll get one right out. My goal is to put this into the hands of as many leaders as possible. This book captures principles that I've learned in 20 plus years of coaching leaders in the entrepreneurial space, in business, government, nonprofits, education, and the local church. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn to keep up with what I'm currently learning and thinking about. And if you're ready to take a next step with a coach to help you intentionally grow and thrive as a leader, I'd be honored to help you. Just go to catalyticleadership.net to book a call with me. Stay tuned for our next episode next week. Until then, as always, leaders, choose to be catalytic.
Thanks for listening to Catalytic Leadership with Dr. William Attaway. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss the next episode. Want more? Go to catalyticleadership.net.